Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to take an intake manifold off of a 2012 2-liter naturally aspirated Jetta. This should work for any of the Mark 6 models that have a 2-liter NA. So it's a bit of a job, but it's quite doable with just some time, patience, and the right preparation and tools. So I'll show you guys what you'll need. First things first, some clean microfiber cloths. Those weird torque bits that Volkswagen likes to use for their engines. So I got this Lexavon kit. Seems to have most of the things we do need, but then I did pick this up because there are some, like, I think there's like a size like torque 15 or torque 30 that this kit doesn't have, that I just need to take off like 2 or 3 bolts. Then you're gonna have some wrenches and some hose pliers. So pliers and wrenches to get some things off. Then you'll need this in order to get a couple of bolts and nuts off. Mostly just going to use my ratchet here, and then a bit for the screwdriver for a bit of those nuts and bolts. And then you got some gloves for protection. It's light. Some silicone lubricant, because you're going to need those for the fuel injectors when you put on those new O-rings. You don't want to pinch them. Throttle body cleaner for the head of the intake ports. WD-40 for some stubborn bolts or nuts. And some coolant, because you're going to need to drain your coolant. You can reuse it if it's clean enough, but mine has been replaced in 2 years, so I might as well do it. Alright, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to undo those batteries, or disconnect the battery, sorry. It's going to be a 10mm bolt, just going to be 2 nuts, so you got to loosen, and then you wiggle them off of their, whatever the coils are here. And then I put just some microfiber cloths over them to just for an extra layer of protection, so you don't want them really touching their coils again until you're ready to reconnect the battery. Alright, now we're on to actually disconnecting the hoses off the manifold. So I just put back on this flash guard with the T25s, and now we're going to start disconnecting the hoses. So first off, you'll have the coolant hose that runs the reservoir. Then you'll have the little one there, the big one there, and then on your car you would see an evap hose connecting like right there. But it snapped, the stem snapped on mine, and that's why I have to replace the entire manifold. But that's okay. It's a good way to clean this out anyways. Just getting carbon buildup. And so after those 4 hoses there, you're gonna disconnect the intake hose that runs along. And in order to get that guy, you're probably going to want to disconnect that clip or that adapter, and then disconnect that clip from there. Just makes it easier getting that off. And then this guy. Those are the clips and the hoses. Alright, I got all my hoses off. Took about probably 5 minutes actually. It wasn't too hard. Just got a good set of vice grips. Take off all your hoses. So these back ones, I think 2 of those back ones don't even have clips on them, clamps I mean. So you don't need the vice grips for those, you just slide them off. And if you're having difficulty, I recommend using this tool. It's hose pliers. They are great for taking these things off. They just put all the pressure on the circumference of it, so it doesn't actually damage the hose itself. Like if you were to go with vice grips on a hose, you're gonna damage it. You could damage it. Anyway, so I took this off. Intake hose connecting to my throttle body. My intake hose had quite literally had oil in it. So I think I know what that is, but that's another fix for another day. Not a big deal right now. Just because it is still drivable in this engine and it's reliable as frig. So yep, all hoses are off. Now we're gonna disconnect the throttle body. Alright everybody, so I ended up taking off the throttle body. It's just 4 T25s, holding them in, so you can see there's 1, 2, and you can just see them line up on the friggin' intake manifold here by the gasket. So you have 4 T25s, and then I did end up taking off the entire intake hose because I need to clean it anyways because I was getting oil buildup in there. So I just wanted to clean it, and I just stuffed a rag into that one. So I just undid this one, and then I rattled it around a little bit, played with it a bit. It came off, and then undid one clip here. So one adapter, undid that, and then it came right out. And it's pretty easy to take off. And just a tip for those clips there, you just squeeze them and then take it off. You don't want to squeeze them and then try and put the clip somewhere else to take it off. Just squeeze them and pull off, because those clips don't move. They won't go anywhere else onto the intake hose. The rest of it is too wide. Alright, so now next step is what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take out the oil dipstick funnel and power steering fluid reservoir, and that's just basically the mount there is what you want to do. So that's 2 bolts around the tensioner and then the dipstick. Guys, so I just took my dipstick out. I did break it, but that's not a big deal. Just pick up a new one. Well, really anywhere is very abundant. And then you got your power steering fluid reservoir, and I'm just gonna try to wiggle it away so I can get enough clearance to get out that bolt. Alrighty guys, so I just took out those 2 bolts and that bolt there, and now this guy should just press up square. Got a little clip here that can come right out. Alrighty guys, so about 2 hours passed. I had a bit of a detour on this. Anyways, I got those bolts out, and basically what I did, I just leaned this back because you got those 2 bolts out, and then you got like the alternator bolt. It's just one of the alternator mounting bolts, and then you're able to lean this back, which frees this up so you can actually take it out. I broke the dipstick because it's very fragile. It's extremely fragile. So that's what it looks like. So I just plugged it up with a clean rag, stuffed it in there so no contaminants get in there. It's a cheap, easier swap. You know, it's basically just clips. So I'll pick up a new one from the VW dealer and for 18 bucks and put a new one. But anyways, you need to get that out of the way because it does clip onto this, which is clipped into the manifold. It's actually molded into the manifold, so it needs to get out. Alright, so once you guys are done those 2 things, next you're going to start with the 4 underbolts. So I actually just took these 2 out because they are the hardest ones to get at. And I'm sorry I didn't let you guys know that. Hopefully you guys are watching this before you even start the job. You're going to want some extensions in there. With your what is it, a 10? Check that out. It's going to be an M9 is what I used. M9 cleared them pretty well. And then you're going to go for, the rest of them are M9s as well. So those 4 up there, and then there's 2, I believe 13 millimeters down there. So 2 13 millimeters. And the rest are 4 M9s. Alrighty, so we took off the 4 underbolts. So you guys can see there. There's one. So those are the 2 side ones on the bottom are nuts. So that's a nut. Those are both T9 or M9s, sorry. And then that is the other nut there. And those nuts are 13s. So that's perfect. Next, I did take off these 2 bolts here that hold the fuel injectors rail in, and now I'm just going to work on the fuel injectors. I'm going to link down a video that's better, that'll show exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm on the step where you take off this little plastic siding for the wires to run through. But I'm going to link down a video by a YouTuber that I really do like, and he shows a great tutorial on how to do it exactly. So put that down below and won't waste your time. So we just took out the 4 top bolts and we pulled out the fuel injectors.
We've already done the 4 bottoms.
And the 4 bottoms, yep, they're already done. And now we're just going to move on to these back 2, holding in this little sensor here. And once we got that out, we'll just pull right out. Because there's no actual RTV or anything holding it in. It's just rubber gaskets that are like lined up. They're parts. They're not like RTV, like some kind of sealant that you spray from a little tube or a can. So it's a lot easier than it would be with an oil pan or something. All right, everybody, got the manifold off, and instantly stuff some rags, or not rags, but clean rags, clean microfiber cloths right into those intake ports, because I don't really want any dirt to get into them or anything. So it's just a good idea. Will not lie, that was a little tougher than it was when I thought it would have been. But really all I did was I kind of just pulled up onto these onto the gaskets, because I was trying to lift up onto the gaskets in order to take them out to relieve some pressure on one side. So I lifted up on the right side and it started lifting out, and then I did the same on the left side, and then I was able to just pull the whole thing off. Didn't require too much force, it wasn't rocking it or anything. Just applied some pressure right to the bottoms, pulled out with a bit of force, got the gaskets lifted on one side, did the same to the other, and then she came right off. Just be careful, don't yank the entire thing out straight to your chest or something. Just be mindful that you still got the fuel rail, if you didn't already detach that, and some spark wires possibly. Yeah, just be mindful, just take it out slowly, move anything that still might be in the way of it, and you're good to go. So this is just something to show you guys if you do need some help with the manifolds. Hopefully you guys are watching this before you do attempt it. So basically you got that 1 bolt, 2 bolt, 3 bolt, 4 bolt, 5 bolt, 6 bolt, 7 bolt, 10 bolt, 8 bolt. So yeah, there's 8 bolts holding the lower part of the manifold in, and then the plenum, it's not really a plenum, it's just the upper part of the manifold. You actually have no bolts really holding this thing in. It's just hoses, and then these things, if you're worried about these things, they literally just slide out. You don't touch them. So the upper part of that, and they just hook onto that, so they just slip in that. All right, right now I'm just working on my fuel injectors. I just took them all out, cleaned them. I'm just gonna replace the O-rings just because it's good practice, so I can do that. Don't have to do that some later time. Yeah, so I just got the fuel injectors all out. I'm gonna replace the O-rings, and I'll see you guys. As you guys can probably tell, it's quite dark out. So I was trying to wrap this up because it was getting dark out, and I wanted to be done because I'm getting pretty tired. But I'll show you guys what was done. So I believe last thing I did was take off the manifold, and I was about to put it in after putting those new O-rings and the new fuel injectors. So what's next is how to put on the manifold. So you actually have like guiding pins back here. So you guys remember these remember those things in the back? I'll show you on this one. They line it up with these. So these things, there's 2. Those are guiding pins essentially. So you try and line it up with those, and once you have it like that, then the whole thing just kind of slides right in all together. Now I would recommend, before you do put on the manifold, just clean the top. You don't have to like spray it down with some throttle body cleaner, but you could wipe it, just wipe it, and to make sure that's a good stick, it's a good clean surface for the gasket to stick to, and a good connection. So once you got those guiding pins in, you're going to torque everything down. You're going to put all your bolts in. The bolts line up pretty well once everything's together, so once those guiding pins are in. So put those bolts in, slide them in, hand tighten them down, and hand tighten them in a crisscross order, starting from the center out. So I would do maybe the center left, center right, far left, far right, just hand tighten them. And then I would start with the bottom, then the top. So in that exact order. So center left, center right, far left, far right, and then go to the top. Hand tighten those ones down too. And then go get your torque wrench and torque it down to 9 Newton meters. Okay, so this is the next morning. Last night I did get pretty tired and I forgot to record the rest of it because my phone did die. But what was done was I just reattached everything that I had undone. So basically for that, you guys can just go back through the steps that we did to take them off in the first place, and just reattach them as we took them off. For some reason, I was told that you had to drain the coolant system in order to take the manifold off. It's not true, but I did it anyways. But you guys won't have to go through that like I did. So once you guys have everything back on, just double inspect everything. All bolts and clips are in, hoses are all attached. and then reinstall the battery. You just got two 10mm nuts. You'll throw those guys back on, and then you are good to start the car. And so when you start it, just be aware that it might not sound super good for like the first 10-20 seconds, just because you get all those little bubbles, or it's a major intake component, so it's going to be some disruptions in the ECU's calculations for how much air is actually coming in. So just be aware of that. It might not sound super good for 10 to 20 seconds, but then she should start to idle well after about a minute. If not, you might have a leak somewhere. Could be a vacuum leak or a fuel leak or something. You might have to inspect that and then put it back together. But yeah, after about a minute, she should sound good. And so I'm gonna wrap up the video on the DIY how to do this. Do mind that I do have a rag there, so I'm not gonna, I did start her up, but I'm not gonna drive her anywhere until I get that dipstick tube back. I'm picking it up tomorrow, so I'm gonna put it back in. And then once I have that, I'm gonna be good to go to drive. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I do hope that you guys did watch this before you actually started the project or the job, just because I wasn't actually completely 100% sure on how to do it, so I was just going step by step, but it all worked out. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.